Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move for today's episode in the amazing AC Milan series. Well, it's been a while, so we've got a game here against Napoli, a couple of games really, and as you can tell from the league table, we've done quite alright. There's a couple of games here to show, Napoli, Juventus and Roma, all huge games, and so I think we kind of have to split it into separate episodes, and so, especially because there's quite a bit of a break between Juventus and Roma as well. But it really depends on how the time goes. I like to keep my episodes about 20 minutes a piece, so if we can get done quicker, that'd be great. But either way, we do need to win pretty much all 3 games if we want to have any hopes of winning the Serie A. We can afford a draw here or there if we just want to set up a Champions League, but beating both Juventus and Napoli would really take us in a good direction towards the Serie A title. We've played already 18 games, there's going to be one more to play, and that's mid-season done already, so we're going to have to do everything we can to put ourselves in a good position for the second half of the season. Anyways, in terms of what happened since the last episode, so we did show you the game against Sampdoria, the 2-0 result. Played quite a number of games in, as you can tell, some heavy defeats, but mostly nice little wins here. We've got Cagliari beat 3-0, over here in the Europa League, set us into the first knockout round, which we're going to be playing against Fenerbahce. We also managed to beat Palermo in the Italian Cup first round, which sent us into the quarterfinals, which we lost to Juventus 4-0. Against Benevento, nice little convincing 4-0 win as well, and Chivo was a 1-0 win through Andre Silva. Of course, Juventus defeating us quite a huge result, as well as Fiorentina. 2 heavy losses that we really couldn't afford to do anymore if we wanted to have any hopes of winning the Serie A, but still somehow we find ourselves within the title reach if we manage to beat Juventus. And really, I feel like both teams that beat us these 5-0 results, we seem to struggle with attacking midfielders for some reason. I'm trying to find out tactically. Hopefully I can find out today against Napoli, who I'd assume do play with an attacking midfielder. I want to try and figure out how we can counteract that, because there's some serious gaps in our tactical thing. I think that some teams have exploited. FC Copenhagen, for example, BS 5-1, Fiorentina 5-0, 4-0. These are big results, and they haven't necessarily created too many chances. All teams with extremely clinical on the day, which can be exceptional, but to happen 3 times in a row means that they must be exploiting some type of weakness in our tactics. So I want to try and find that out as soon as possible. But anyways, I want to try also and get revenge of Juventus. So let's get into today's game against Napoli. It's pretty much the team we're going to be playing with. And we've got some things that need to be working on, and a bunch of injuries. Really, it's not a good time for us. Conte's been out for most of the season anyways, but Ricardo Rodriguez is out 5 days to 3 weeks. Kessie out for 11 days to 3 weeks, and Lucas suspended for the match. We also got Nicola, who's still struggling with his injury. He's going to come back within 7 days. We have him on the bench just in case, but I want to try and avoid him at all costs. Now, of course, we do have Hakan on the left, Sousa on the right, and pretty much trying to play as much as possible, starting exile of the strongest players. Now, of course, our central defenders have to be absolutely changed around, because all 3 of our main first choice defenders are kind of out of form. They're not putting in the best form in. They're not bad form either, sort of solid performances, but I want exceptional performances, and maybe this backline, I suppose, will still be able to withhold from Napoli. So let's see what we can do. Let's get into today's game. So pretty much still the same tactics. We did mention that wanting to move towards the central midfield and support instead of a box-to-box midfielder, so they can protect the deep line playmaker Locatelli a bit more. Box-to-box midfielder has a tendency to roam and leave Locatelli in midfield all alone. Also want to take advantage of having a playmaker higher up the field. We've got an inside forward and an advanced forward, but having a little playmaker between this front trio would help us. Either Hakan or Sousa, we want to eventually turn towards an advanced playmaker type of role for them. But anyways, Napoli haven't gone with an attacking midfielder, we've gone with a defensive one, so hopefully we can still, hopefully they won't still exploit our weaknesses, whatever it may be. We're going to try and find her out this time. But either way, huge result, huge game, and we need a huge result to actually have any hopes of winning the Serie A. So let's go with favourites, expectations, and our sort of team talk. Andre Silva has done quite well in Nicola's absence through injury, and I'm hoping he can continue that today. So let's set replays on, goals. We don't want just only commentary to show key highlights. I'd prefer, to be honest, for tactical reasons, to see extended highlights, but for the sake of trying to include as many games as possible in this episode. We're just going to go for the key highlights. So, alright, I want to zoom in, but we need to include the match stats. No, it's not going to let me do it now. Right, there you go, let's quickly do this. Let's pause first. Match stats so we can get a clear idea. I just want to be able to see if we scored a goal or not, so let's keep it like that about. Alright, anyways, early chance to try and set the tone for the match. Zapata's done that well by winning the initial challenge, and Abate can get us going on the right flank here. Just has to be smart with the ball. Insigne tries to shut him down, but Suso's there to collect the ball and squares it to Montolivo. He's still playing as a box-to-box midfielder. I forgot to turn him to central midfielder on support. He likes it a bit better and suits him a bit more. He's played really good ball to Aaron though. If he can just find the delivery, he can go up to an early lead here. Andre Silva makes exactly what we do. 1-0 within 3 minutes time. And it could be that we're exploiting Napoli's weaknesses rather than the other way around. We're going to get a nice little replay here, please. Yeah, there you go, a nice little 3D replay. Locatelli. Montolivo's free with all the time in the world. Locatelli's drawn in the midfielders, and when he does play the ball finally, he makes sure to find Aaron, who's not being tracked back by Callejon. Remember, Aaron is a wing-back, not a full-back, so Callejon's going to have a less of a inclination to track back, I suppose, if both our wing-backs can get up high up the pitch quickly, they can take advantage of the space that's being left behind by the advanced these wingers here. Of course, they're not wide midfielders, they're wingers. They're higher up the pitch, so they leave all the space here behind that we're hopefully going to try and exploit a bit more of. Normally when you play wing-backs, that's exactly the type of space that they take advantage of. Wing-backs and wide midfielders love those spaces in behind the wingers and whatnot. Silva comes out wide to receive the ball. He plays a very decent ball into Hakan, but he couldn't react as quickly. Suso's there though, and you have to say that should have been converted by Suso. Pretty much right in front of the goal. We somehow blast it over, I suppose. Montolivo, the loose touch. Mertens tries to get Napoli on their way. Need to make amends here. There you go. Long shot is all. We'll take long shots all day long. I think Donnarumma is very comfortable dealing with that, but at the same time, just means we've kept our shape well. Like I said, we're doing a good job of forcing Napoli to shoot from distance. Of course, we want to try and cut down on these opportunities, but if we're, if they're not willing to whack the ball into the box, then we can take advantage of that. Ulam trying to get Napoli going. Plays it to his flank player, Insigne. He cuts inside. We're, kind of got the midfield packed out, so they're forced to try and go wide, but they're still playing kind of narrow, so maybe we can win the ball back and take advantage of that. Instead, Jorginho's free in the box. Callejon. It's 1-0 and 1-1, sorry, and that's not considered offside, but I think that was a seriously questionable decision making, unless there's something that I didn't see, because initial thoughts are that was offside, but this is well worked by Napoli, who should, they don't have the space in the middle of the park, but they still make it work. Mertens with a good first touch, plays it into Sydney, who cuts back inside, and that should have been the tackle there. And this is why I think it was offside, but the ball hasn't been played yet. And stupidly, Aaron's played both these players on, and Paletta can do nothing about that. He tries to come across. Aaron's out of position anyways. Callejon takes advantage, and Napoli hit back 1-1. This game is far from over. Both teams exploiting some seriously unusual tactical decisions, I suppose, or individual mistakes rather than tactical decisions, but let's hope there's more to come from Napoli in terms of their mistakes. Either way, Silva grabbed a nice little goal. Could have had the second through Hakan if he was alive to a bit more. Suso as well, very guilty of missing a chance. But the game doesn't consider any of those chances to be serious chances, I suppose. And we're going to half-time 1-1. We've created 3 half chances. Napoli haven't created any chances, whether it's clear-cut or half chances. And I think they're kind of lucky to be in the game, but we do need more. Should I tell my players off? I feel like I should tell my players off, but we are away from home. Let's do the inspirational team talk rather than the telling off one. Yeah, let's go with ability. I think in terms of tactical tweaks, all I want to do is really just tell my players to look for the overlap a bit more. The first goal was an example of how overlapping's helped us. So if we can just get our wing backs pushed up a little bit further, I don't want to make the tactical tweak for it in the sense of, you know, pushing my wing backs into wide midfielders, for example. They're already wing backs and not full backs. Dealt with that set piece eventually well, but the initial ball was Napoli's there to win, and they're going to do it again. Mertens this time does punish us, and that is frustrating to see. We've got enough men there to keep an eye on their players, and as dangerous as we are going in terms of taking set pieces, we've been pretty poor in defending them as well. We're supposed to be man marking, everyone's supposed to be man marking. Mertens still gets away. I want to have a look at that set piece routine of ours again. How do I do that? Can I not see it here? Oh wait, this one, isn't it? No, not takers. I want to see corners. How do we defend them? Centre backs are defending, marking the tall players. Central midfielders man mark. And why are you closing down a corner? I don't believe I've done that before. Let's throw an extra man in here anyways. And don't zonally mark. I want you to man mark as well. Maybe zonally marking might be a bit better. So highlight continues. Suso with the ball. He cuts inside, but there's too many men there. He goes and finds Abate. We did ask him to look for the overlap, and Albiol challenges our right back really well there. Abate. I thought there might have been cause of penalty, but in the end it's a pointless highlight that the game decided to show us. Either way, we're losing the game, and that's not good to see. We've still got men that are free here, and I either have to ask my attacking midfielder to, you know, drop into the box, and maybe even ask Andre Silva to just stay at the edge of the box instead of how he is right now, or I have to just tell my players to. Yeah, this is very much probably the tactical thing opposition teams are exploiting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set the defending in terms of corners back to default. I don't want, if I'm messing up things with whatever instructions I'm telling my players to do, you know, the attacking thing's working, but the defending corners is not working at all. So let's do that again. At least I've finally seen it now that possibly teams, you know, because I was saying they're not creating clear-cut chances, but they're still beating us. And Napoli's 3 clear-cut chances have just come after half-time. It's all come through their set pieces. So it's a serious error on my behalf, but I really didn't consider set pieces to be the problem. I think people are taking advantage. We're not even man-marking zonally. If I was man-marking zonally, I'd understand, you know, runners from deep coming in would cause us problems. But if you're man-marking, you're supposed to be able to deal with the threat relatively well. Either way, 3-1 now. Now we have a huge task to try and overcome Napoli, who are definitely going to sit back. So let's try and look to make some changes. I want to take off Ricardo, but unfortunately, like we mentioned, our central midfielder, our first choice, is not available. He's injured. No real changes to make, to be honest. Everyone who's supposed to be on the pitch is on the pitch, and the lack of substitutions is not good to see. I'm going to take off look for overlap, and I'm going to go for the exploit the flanks instruction instead to try and get our, you know, our wide men working a bit better, because that was initially what we saw worked so well in the goal that we scored in 3 minutes, and Napoli fired back incredibly. Alright then, so Barini for Hakan, inside forward, Bonaventura actually as well, so let's move. Take off Suso as well. The last change I'll make is probably take off Abate, who's extremely tired. And let's see what happens. Is probably the reason why my central defenders, despite playing well, relatively well throughout the game, still get poor ratings because of the defending from set pieces. And thankfully that goes over, because it would have been even more embarrassing. Our players have offered little to nothing in the sense of attacking play. Andre Silva, though, making amends. Can he win the header? He doesn't, but Montaliva's there to pick up pieces. Locatelli. Alright, Barini's there. Can he find his player? Yes, he does. Abate. Just need a delivery. Andre Silva's there. 3-2. And there's 13 minutes left. Question is, can we level things up? And can the players make up for my mistake in terms of set pieces? Good all-round football though. Barini's got plenty of space, and he does find his, look at that, not being tracked. He's never going to be tracked. And all he has to do is make sure he delivers a correct cross, and he's done that well. You know, look for overlap didn't really seem to make too much sense for us. Abate is exhausted now, and even though he's played well, hopefully fresh legs on the full-back positions, or the wing-back positions rather, can help us grab a third to make it 3-3. No? Nothing? Let's look for the little overlap as well then. Pass into space. Oh, it's going to end in Napoli's favour, isn't it? Great. I don't think it's necessarily deserved, but at least we've finally addressed the issue. I just have to remember to do it after the game's over. And Aaron's gone all the way around. He just has to find someone. It's a really poor ball to Montalivo. That's all but pretty much won the game for Napoli 3-2. Must have really let down my players. Nice to see Andre Silva grab a brace though, and I think I can tell my players off for the match, even though it's my mistake, but you know, whatever. I'll take what I can get. Okay. Alright then, so I think actually we will save the next episode to be the games against Juventus and Roma, but the loss against Napoli allows them to close the gap towards us. We'll still remain in the Champions League spots regardless of whatever happens below us, but if we lose against Juventus and Roma next time, it's going to be huge games. And of course this was the fixture for December, and the fixtures for January, like we always like to play a game in or two in January, but we like to have them next to each other, back-to-back games, so that kind of comes together with the Juve and Roma games. We can pretty much try and send Roma down to relegation zone again, and with Juventus close our own gap, because this is a huge one now of 7 points, and you know, we have to have a better second half of the season than we have had in the first. We can get that going in the next episode, I think. This one hasn't gone too long, but the way the other games are going to go, probably even longer. But back-to-back defeats is never nice to see. So what we're going to do is go back to tactics. It looks like I'm better at setting corners in terms of attacking them rather than defending, because whatever I did for defending has gone horribly wrong. Let's reset to default. You know, maybe Napoli didn't have any corners after those chances that they took, but if they did, it could have potentially, we might have addressed it, and that's why they just, you know, couldn't do anything, I suppose. Alright then, so yeah, that's all for today's episode. We'll be back with these two games here, Juventus and Roma, the two huge fixtures in January, pretty much just 3 games in January, so maybe we can get some transfer business done. I'm sure you've noticed that one of our players have a bid, and that's Gabriel Paletta. He's asked to leave, and so I've kind of just let him go. I think, you know, we might have to bring in a certain player, you know, a backup, because Paletta was a backup. We've got 6 central defenders. We do need 6 still, so if we lose one, it's not like we're losing someone extra. We need to replace him. We do have a couple of squad issues, like Gomez asking first team football, and that's kind of it. You know, we've just got some players who are asking, they have slight concerns and whatnot. I think I've made a couple of promises to my players to try and hold on to them. Well, pretty much just Alessio Romanoli as well. qualify for Champions League football, so I promised him to do that so he wouldn't leave. And I think, I don't know why it's not registered yet, but I'm pretty sure I've also offered the same promise to Suso. Or actually no, he's asked to leave to PSG for high wages. I just remember that now, and I've only just offered him a contract that he loved so much. He was so thankful for it, 69k. And you know, it goes on to 2022, and I'm not going to offer him a new one just because he's wanted by PSG. He's a hugely important player for us, but you know, no player is bigger than the club, I suppose. But anyways, that's definitely all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And once again, guys, thank you all very much for watching.